This week's Moment of Science is sponsored by Charleston County Parks.
So Edingsville we like to call the Lowcountry Atlantis. Edingsville Beach, as we know it today, is the shoreline just south of us, but if you look in the history books, Edingsville of the 1800s is 3/4 of a mile out underneath the ocean.
200 years ago, it was part of our shoreline, a small barrier island similar to Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, or many of the islands down near Edisto. Wealthy plantation families started settling in Edingsville in the early 1800s, crossing a lone oyster-shell causeway to get onto the island with all of their belongings for a summer, away from the heat and mosquitoes further inland. It grew in popularity through the 19th century, with roughly 50 houses, as Eberson Murray, one of the community's last residents, recanted in his memoir years later.
Life on Edingsville was ideal. Behind the big white sand dunes was the house lots, shaded by oaks and cedars. Most of these buildings were substantial two-story structures, with wide verandas facing the ocean. Unfortunately, however, Edingsville was too good to last. As the assaults of the ocean did more and more damage to the sand dunes, little by little the people abandoned their summer homes.
Edingsville's catastrophic conclusion came in 1885 when an unnamed hurricane battered the community.
The water rose higher and higher. That night, both of the front beach houses collapsed. This was the end of the village of Edingsville. No one dared to live on the barrier islands after that terrible experience.
Abandoned, any last remnants of Edingsville were wiped away less than a decade later with the infamous Sea Island hurricane of 1893. Erosion finished the job, pushing the shoreline back further and further from the now non-existent community. Today, relics of bone, glass, and ceramics still sometimes wash ashore on beaches that soon may suffer the same fate. Look no further than Botany Bay, another barrier island near Edisto.
This shoreline is a great example of what was happening to Edingsville back in the 1800s. The main lesson about Edingsville is that coastal communities aren't permanent.
Mother Nature gives, and Mother Nature takes away. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Storm Team 2 meteorologist David Dixon.